All right, y'all, welcome to the show. So, big show, as usual. I mean, right off the bat, news came out yesterday that Mitch McConnell is going to step down as a Republican leader in 2024. And that's interesting, man. It could be, look, there's speculation that he's really sick, that he doesn't have much longer to live. That speculation that's been going around Kentucky for at least a year now. And I mean, it also could have something to do with Trump, right? He no longer wants to play that role where he's basically Trump's like little errand boy. I know it'll be interesting to see how he acts from now until then as well. So that's some big news. We're going to lead here in just a second with some funny stuff. Jimmy Kimmel did some on the street interviews with Trump supporters and got some golden moments. Then we'll get to a new Arizona Republican bill, which is just too extreme to believe, almost. We got some poll numbers that just drive me crazy. We have Cornel West calling the IDF terrorists on CNN to a shocked host's face. And then later on, we're going to have some fun. We got some juicy internal details from some of the many fights that Melania Trump and Donald Trump have had, his time in office, to be specific. So That one's fun. That one's fun. So anyway, everybody, do me a favor, hook a brother up with a sub. I would deeply, deeply appreciate it. It helps out so much in the algorithm. You have no idea, and it doesn't cost you anything. Trying to get to that next plaque number, y'all. I believe 10 million is the next plaque. Which, by the way, could we get a 5 million plaque? Because 5 million, I think eventually we will hit. 10 million, I mean, I'm no Mr. Beast over here, right? So anyway, hook me up with a sub, and thank you to everybody who supports this show on Patreon or tips on YouTube. I've never talked to an advertiser, never made a deal with an advertiser, so you guys help fund the show from the ground up. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. You keep me free and independent and all that great stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into it. So Jimmy Kimmel did a segment here on the street where he spoke to Trump supporters, and what he's going to do is, I believe he tells them, remember when Joe Biden said X? And X is a thing that Trump actually said. And these people like attack. And then when they hear it's Trump that said it, all of a sudden, total reversal, and they're playing defense. So, I mean, look, this just goes to show you the true cult-like mentality, right? I mean, call it what it is, cult-like mentality. So let's watch and we'll break it down.
We decided to conduct a little social experiment. We sent a camera crew to South Carolina ahead of the primary there tomorrow. We asked people who identified themselves as supporters of Donald Trump for their take on some of Joe Biden's more controversial actions and quotes. But what we didn't tell them at first is that what we said wasn't from Joe Biden. It was actually from Donald Trump.
Do you mind if I ask you who you voted for in the last election?
Trump.
Trump. I'm going to guess you voted for Trump.
It says Donald Trump.
Do you mind if I just ask you a few questions about things that Biden has done in his administration, and you can kind of give me your opinion on that? What did you think when Joe Biden suggested that COVID could be cured by shining a bright light inside the body?
It is very sad that Joe Biden is clearly a dementia patient.
Supposedly we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light.
What do you think about Joe Biden saying that getting through the 80s without getting HIV was his own personal Vietnam?
Again, it's very sad, his mental capacity, and that is a very uneducated statement.
Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. These are not, I got my notes mixed up. Can I ask you this question? Can we start over? Let me ask you what, okay. What did you think when Donald Trump suggested that COVID could be cured by shining a bright light into the body?
It depends what that technology is.
Okay.
That's a broad spectrum because, you have MRI machines and CT machines and infrared and different things. So it just depends the context of that.
What did you think of Donald Trump saying that getting through the 80s without getting HIV was his own personal Vietnam? Dementia patient?
No, I don't believe that.
There are accusations that Joe Biden cheated on his wife with a porn star after his son was born. And there's actually a paper trail showing he paid the sex worker $130,000 to keep quiet about it.
Who did that? Joe Biden? And he was making, I think, less than $100,000 a year at that time as a congressman, a senator. And how does he do that?
You tell me. Would you vote for someone that paid?
Of course not.
Okay. So Trump did do that.
Trump had a fling with Stormy Daniels.
And paid her $130,000.
Hush money, yes.
And you're voting for him?
I am. My father had affairs too, and I still respect him.
you feel about Joe Biden using his bone spurs to dodge the Vietnam draft?
Joe Biden has a problem. He isn't an American. He isn't a patriot.
I'm sorry, I asked you, I said Biden and I meant Trump, so those were things that...
Oh, Trump?
Trump, yes. Can I ask you the question again with
Yes,
the right
you may.
name? I'm so sorry. How do you feel about Donald Trump using his bone spurs to dodge the Vietnam draft?
My brother-in-law had flat feet. So I'm sure you cannot go into a military zone, a Vietnam zone, or any of the other zones with bad feet.
Sure.
You just can't do the job.
I agree.
And it actually impacts the other soldiers, puts them in danger.
Yeah.
So no.
Oh, man. Look, you know what the crazy thing is? It's actually really sad, but you could do this all day. And look, to be fair, you actually can do it in the other direction, too. I have no doubt that there are many of Democratic voters at a Biden rally. If you go up and you say, like, what'd you think about Joe Biden signing the First Step Act? I'm sure it would be the same. Oh, I loved it. It's a great piece of legislation. And then, okay, well, my bad. It was Trump who did that. Yeah, no, that wasn't that good of a piece of legislation. So it cuts in both directions. To be fair, I think it is probably more extreme on the right. I think it's probably more widespread on the right. I think a higher percentage of people who were at a Trump rally would fall for this than the percentage of people who would fall for it at some sort of a Biden rally. But I don't know, man. It's funny, but it's also just depressing, right? That this is the state of our politics. The fact of the matter is, a lot of people, they just view it like a sports team. They really do. It's just like, I'm with this group. And then that's it. They shut their mind off. They play defense when it's for their team. They play offense when it's for their team, but they won't. There is no, like, even bare minimum attempt to do an objective analysis or, first and foremost, prioritize a list of policies that you think would make the country better, right? Like, I can respect somebody who doesn't agree with me on policy, but they have a list of policies that guide them when navigating the political landscape. I mean, Ron Paul comes to mind, right? Like, classic libertarian, wants to deregulate the marketplace like crazy, wants to cut government spending, but is consistent, also wants to cut military spending and wants to end the wars and the Patriot Act and the spying. And, like, I don't agree with him on everything, but, like, okay, respect, because you're actually letting your principles and the policies guide your view, right? But with people like this, I don't know, man. My sympathy's running out. We all know if this interviewer said, what did you think of Donald Trump's student debt reduction going around the Supreme Court? What did you think of Donald Trump raising the minimum wage for federal contractors and employees to $15 an hour? What did you think about Trump doing gun reform with red flag laws? What did you think about Trump doing the PACT Act, which is health care for veterans exposed to toxic burn pits, or Trump adding 800,000 manufacturing jobs, or the CHIPS Act, or the infrastructure bill, or the 15% corporate minimum tax rate? These are all things Biden did, but if you told them Trump did them, they'd be like, oh, that's great. He's got an amazing record. It's tremendous. I love it so much. And it's just, they don't care. They don't follow the specifics. They don't follow the details. Their guy is Trump. So really, look, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is feelings. We got to call it what it is. Human beings are a lot less logical and rational than they think they are up front, and that goes for all of us, including me. So that's the reality, but, like, I don't know, when there's not even an attempt to hold yourself to a standard and have policy priorities and your values lead you, I don't know, I just find that so demoralizing. Because, like, how the hell are we ever going to dig ourselves out of the hole that we're in? Now, of course, look, the main problem, first and foremost, is the corrupt politicians of both parties. Let's be clear. Like, they're the ones who are really blocking positive change. But having an electorate or aspects or elements of the electorate that act like this, I don't know, I just hate it. I hate it, right? I can't. Because, look, if you come up to me and you ask me, name something good Trump did. Well, he slapped down TPP, right? I like that. It was a dumb free trade deal that would just solidify corporate rule even more. He did the First Step Act, like I pointed out before. He pardoned Alice Johnson. I could point to some things. If you tell these people, name me one thing you like about Joe Biden, be nothing. But also, like I said, if you bring up Biden's policies and say Trump did them, they'd be like, best president ever. So, I don't know. I'll end on this point. You guys already know this. We've discussed this ad nauseum, but there were polls that came out not that long ago of Trump, the people who are still remaining supporting Trump and all in on Trump. And they will literally tell a pollster, I will take Trump's word over my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, my very best friend, religious leader, mentor. Like, end all be all is his word. And that's the shit that's got to stop. And also, by the way, that's the thing I think is more unique to Trump than any other politician currently, is the totally sycophantic, I'm going to rent my brain out to you type stuff. I think that's kind of inexcusable. You know, when it really does become like a cult, I think that's inexcusable. And I think that's where we are now with Trump. Because back in 2016, look, I don't agree with it, but there was an argument some people could make. There were plenty of 2 times Obama voters who flipped and voted for Trump because they thought he'll keep my job here and Hillary outsourced all these jobs. And there was an argument. You had to overlook a lot of bad stuff, but there was an argument. Now there's no longer even a theoretical argument. You can't make an argument. He cut taxes for the rich. He deregulated Wall Street. He destroyed the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. He continued the wars. He increased the drone strikes. He was totally, genuinely unstable on the world stage. It was horrible. So if you're still with him, I don't know what to tell you. But look, this is a very illuminating thing. At some point, I mean, I don't want to overpromise here and underdeliver, but I would love to run that experiment on both the Trump supporters and the Biden supporters closer to the general election. A Biden rally, if he has any, a Trump rally, and do exactly what we're talking here, just with policy, right? I would love to see that. Because my guess is 90% of the people at the Trump rally would do exactly what they did here in this Jimmy Kimmel clip. And my guess is probably 50%, maybe 60% of the Biden people would also kind of fall for it. If you guys take anything from this show at all, anything at all, like know what your values are, know what your preferred policy positions are, and honestly evaluate every politician on the scene based on your own objective standard. If you don't do that, I don't know. It's hard for me to feel sympathetic. It's hard for me to take you seriously. You know, you got to treat this stuff like it matters because it really, really does. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.